No. Welcome to Playing Games with... no. Hi, welcome to We Read Allegedly. Where we allegedly read as many books as we're saying, except for in this instance, in which we haven't read much of anything at all.
Yay.
Summertime, temps are high, schedules are full, books are sitting on shelves.
That's not true. I've read stuff. I just haven't been reading what I'm supposed to be reading.
John's not doing the assignment, and it's fine.
I've read, just not enough.
I've read school and emails. Would you like to discuss the emails I've read?
I've read Facebook posts. That counts, right? And Discord. Lots of Discord.
There's a lot of Discord.
I reread Shadow of the Gods.
That's a
true.
Beefy book that you reread.
To be fair, I did it so I could be completely fresh for the beginning of next week when I start The Hunger of the Gods.
I, as well, will be starting this book that I got from the library a month and a half ago at some point, too. I'm well on my way to owning it in late fees. Anyway, if you haven't caught on by what I assume the title of this podcast episode will be, we're not reviewing one of our typical podcast books. We're doing a summer rereads edition where we're just going to talk about some things that bring us comfort in the summer or that bring us pain. I don't know what you guys are into. Actually, I do, but that's okay. So, that's it. That's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. All right. Bookshelf roulette time. The numbers we've chosen. Do I need to go over the rules? I think we did this last episode.
It's the first numbers is clockwise, right? Starting at the top left.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
top
3 is
left.
going to be bottom right.
Yep. Bottom right. 5 shelves up. 27 books in. Everybody go.
Run! Or walk quickly.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump at once.
It just struck me how much this is like show and tell at school.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. Look at my book! Yeah.
It really is, except every time I've done it, I've just been like, I don't know why I brought this. Here you go.
It's a thing. Okay, so I found the 6th book in the Phoenix Saga, which is written by Osamu Tezuka, who is known as the godfather of anime. He created Astro Boy. I've not read these because it infuriates me a little bit that there's not... I think this is the one that there's not a... Like, he didn't finish it. He died before he could finish it. So, like, one is set in creation at the beginning of the world. One is set at the end of the world. And then there's some stuff there's a couple books in the middle, but whatever it is that, like, it's not a completed series because he couldn't complete it. So I haven't actually read them.
Is that the series that Dallas keeps suggesting to me that's loosely based on Buddhist stuff?
No, same author. That one is called Buddha.
Oh.
Aptly named.
And it's actually, Osamu Tezuka was not Buddhist, but the Buddhists use his manga to teach their teachings.
Okay.
So if you want to know more about Buddhist teachings, like what they believe, it's a good one. It's also just an entertaining story. It's really well done. The art is beautiful. So I've read the first one. I haven't gotten we own all of them, but I haven't gotten into the rest of them yet. But so it's interesting.
On a similar note, the book that I grabbed is also, well, it's not a manga, but it's a comic book omnibus. It's the Daredevil, The Fall of the Kingpin, complete with the back cover being eaten by a former dog that I had. So, yeah, it's just the collection of the comic books, the Daredevil comic books about the fall of the Kingpin. So,
Very nice.
Nothing super exciting. I don't remember a whole lot about it. So,
Mine is not a comic book or a manga. It was also, the shelf that was picked was all teapots. So I could have brought one of those, but I felt like that was cheating. So I had to go up a shelf. And then I had to go around twice because there was only like 12 books on that shelf. So that's okay. I got the book Movies Are Prayers, which I'm really excited to read. I just got it at New Year's. Haven't read it yet. But it's a book about how fiction and nonfiction movies. I don't know why I said fiction and nonfiction movies. I'm thinking about books right now. Why movies can be expressions of God and how they can open up conversations with God.
When you read that one, let me know how that is, because that sounds interesting to me.
That sounds very similar to a different, much smaller book that you've recommended to us a few times.
That is on the list to read.
I don't know how similar it will actually be. It is also much larger. It's not a super large book, but How Films Voice Our Deepest Longings. I am very excited to read it. I will let you know how it is once I do.
And that has been Bookshelf Roulette.
That was fun.
Da 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 da.
Ha! We just don't even need music in this episode.
The two of you were on the same wavelength for that one.
Like, we're just not going to put any extra music. It's just going to be all us.
Yep.
Okay, so for the listeners out there, it has been a weird month.
Yeah.
We've all
been a month.
Yeah, June is almost done.
Feels like it's just been a few days.
I know, right? So Celeste, I think you came up with what this episode is.
No, Squid came up with this idea, and I went, please God. For those of our listeners who don't listen to our Com Talk episode, I just spent a week with 500 teenagers. So in Louisiana heat.
Yeah, it's been super hot here too.
Purgatory.
It's close. Except there was more Jesus. So while it was a great time, and we will be doing a Com Talk episode talking about our experience, Dallas and I will, it means that I've not had a lot of time to read. I was reading a little bit every night just to decompress, and the next book we're doing is not
it's not a decompressing book, let me tell you.
Not a decompressing book.
It is a depressing book.
If you take the calm, if you take the calm out of it, it's a little bit more accurate.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I picked it. If anyone's
that
wondering.
Helps. That puts
no surprise.
Puts a reference for everybody on the mindset of the next book. Come with tissues or just angry, like I kind of plan to be at the moment. Anyway, so this idea was birthed out of the fact of everybody is busy this month. Nobody's been able to read the book and finish it because for a small book, it's a hefty book.
Yeah, it's pretty dense.
But that is not what we're talking about today.
No, we're not talking about that book today.
We're going to
talk about far happier books, like the book I brought.
Talking about books that we reread. So allegedly.
Yeah, today's episode is we reread allegedly.
We read allegedly?
No, we reread. Because we could have read anything. These are books we've read more than once.
That's
allegedly.
True.
Allegedly.
So, because summertime is a good time to reread books. So that was the concept. We're celebrating summer and giving ourselves more time to read this other very dense book.
Yes. So who wants to start this time?
I have a lot of books that I reread, especially over the summertime. Like, I'll start. I don't care. I'm fine with it. That's right.
You've already started. Keep going.
But like specifically in the summertime, if there are books that I know of that are specifically what hits my flavor for the summertime are coming of age horror on summer break style novels. The first book that would come to everybody's mind would be It.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
I can't reread It.
That's a big one.
Well, no, it's not so much that as that there's a scene in it that I don't want to work around. It's just like,
I'm guessing it's the scene that Stephen King said if he was to rewrite the book today, he would change it.
Maybe. more specifically, a book that I'm referring to, which is very similar to it without all the yuck, it's called Summer of Night. I want to make sure I'm getting that right here.
It's like I've never heard of
Holly
this.
Black.
It's either Summer of Night or no, yes, it's Summer of Night. I remember because Summer of Darkness is the Demon Hunter album. I always get those two titles mixed up.
Not
But-
by Holly Black. What am
No.
I thinking of?
No, it's by trying to get my Dan Simmons.
Isn't that the guy? Hold on. We're all going to go in different directions now.
Yes, we are.
It's not who I was thinking of.
Looks like he writes a lot of. It's just silence while we're all Googling.
Well, Dan Simmons is most commonly known for having written the book Hyperion.
I've never heard of any of these.
Mm.
Oh, I
I'm
don't know.
intrigued, though.
I was thinking of Dan Brown. I was like, the Da Vinci Code?
No.
Oh,
But no.
I kind of thought it was the same guy until I got on his Goodreads written list, and I was like, okay, not that guy.
That's what I
No,
was like, Dan Simmons. I know this name. No, I didn't. I know Dan Brown.
The only Dan Brown book I've read was Angels and Demons.
Isn't that the second one?
That's the first one.
Oh, is it? Is
The Da Vinci Code is the second one.
It's the second movie. I see. I have not read either, so
It's okay if you can get around the whole blasphemy aftertaste.
what a good taste.
Yummy.
But no, getting back to Summer of Night, it features a lot of very similar themes that were in it, where it's a collection of friends that hang out on bikes zipping around a small town during the summer. The same summer that they launched Sputnik into space. I don't remember what year that was, but it's either the 60s or the late 50s. But they talk about like going to a drive-in where they're playing Vincent Price movies when they're new, and weird ongoings. These kids are basically coming of age at the same time that, some creepy weirdness is happening in their town. And it's a little bit mystery, a little bit horror, a little bit nostalgia. It's a good time. And it actually inspired stuff that I want to do in between campaigns after we're done with campaign 1 in playing games with strangers. So Dave, one of our other playing games with stranger boys, who also does Casual Gamer Society with me, he's currently reading the book, so he can understand where I'm coming from for that one. So that'll be an interesting experience.
Nice. I'll go in blind. I don't know. I got nothing.
It's a good book if you want to read it. If not, that's fine. But that's definitely one I like to reread, especially for the summertime.
It sounds a lot like a movie that I grew up watching called Before and After, where it has Demi Moore in it, where they go back and forth between this group of friends. They had one summer that like really made them, and then they kind of drifted apart after that. And so, but they all come back together because one of them's having a baby. So there's a bunch of time hops to it, but it sounds a lot like that because there was some strange things going on.
Well, there's no time hops in Summer of Night.
Well, yeah.
And Summer of Night has weird clay monsters that are trying to eat people.
Yeah, no clay monsters, no golems.
And cults that are worshiping some ancient Mesopotamian artifact.
That sounds interesting. They just think that there's somebody who's dead trying to contact them.
Oh.
So it's an entertaining movie. Actually kind of want to go watch it now.
So I did a book. Now you guys do a book, and we'll keep going till we don't want to do any more books.
Till we're done with them. So one of my rereads that I will always reread is the Anne of Green Gables series.
Oh, wholesome.
It's right? Like, and depending on where I am in life, depends on which one. Like, as an adult, I don't reread the first one very often, so I reread the when she's in college or when she has kids, or because there's like 7 or 8 books in the series. And I have them like 3 or 4 different formats.
I can tell these were a big hit for you, John, when you were younger.
Up until sometime in my 20s, Anne of Green Gables was just an annoying TV show on the Disney Channel to me, so I don't know. Not much of an impact.
You didn't read these books over and over again in your youth?
No.
Multiple times?
Wow.
So,
right after you finished the American Girl doll books repeatedly?
Yes. Right? Just a side note, that movie I was talking about, it's not called Before and After. It is called Now and Then.
Oh. I think I've seen Now and Then.
Has
Before
Christina
and After didn't
Ricci
ring any
in it,
bells,
too.
so.
Huh?
Have you guys read, I don't know if this was popular at your time, but the My Name is America and Dear America books?
Yes.
Those.
The Dear America books, I managed to sweet talk my mom into letting me use that as my history.
That's how, we did that too.
For a whole year. So I would read a Dear America book, I would research the time frame, and I would write papers on it. Because I could do all of that at the library.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to buy me a history curriculum.
They were very good. I want to go find them now just so I can reread them because
I think I still have a couple.
Yeah, my brother had all the My Name is America and I had most of the Dear America ones.
I also got into and these were some of I reread them because we were talking earlier in our Discord channel, and I mostly reread a lot of books as a child because I did not have the internet and could not go onto a Kindle and download books from the library.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little harder to access new books. So I reread a lot more when I was a kid. So a lot of Anne of Green Gables, a lot of Little House on the Prairie, which the books are so much better than the show.
Little House on the Prairie? I was just talking about Little House on the Prairie with someone and how much I watched every single episode more than once.
Oh yeah, definitely watched every episode more than once, but it was not by choice. It was by the fact that I did not have control of the TV.
Fair.
Yeah, my mom I'm not going to say was. My mom is into that show. I caught snippets of it growing up. I always wanted to throw that blonde-haired girl down the hill, and
we all did.
Well, yeah,
everybody did.
I'm pretty sure she wrote a book. I have to look.
Which one?
The snotty girl,
Nellie. I don't know the actress's name.
Hang on. Back to being silent while I Google things. Did you write a book, or did I make this up?
Possibly. It says she's an author on Wikipedia, and you know that's accurate. Yes. She's written several books.
Confession of a Prairie blank, How I Survived Nellie Olson and Learned to Love Being Hated. So it basically just talked about growing up on the show and being like, quote unquote, a villain on the show and like what it did in her life, which I'm sure was super fun. Just great. As we know, child stars are treated so well.
Right. Oh, yeah. I just realized that you censored that name.
Yes. For our delicate, innocent listeners at home.
And me.
And you. You can Google it if you want to know what it is.
It's not complimentary.
I don't know where I heard about that, but Little House on the Prairie has come up a lot recently for me, and I don't know why.
Maybe it's a sign that you need to watch the show or read the books.
Or move to a prairie.
Have fun with those allergies.
I'm kind of already in one, so it's fine.
What about you, Squid? You got books?
I have book.
You have book.
I have book. One book. I looked at my shelf the other day. I've been dog sitting all month, so I was like, what book do I want to bring with me to start rereading right now? In advance for this podcast episode? Because unlike Celeste, I'm not a rereader often. I don't do a lot of books over and over again. So I looked at my shelf and I got 2. Brought them both with me, and then they were To Kill a Mockingbird and Ender's Game. And I decided to restart.
Ender's Game is another reread for me. A lot.
I decided to restart.
I heard
Ender's
the movie
Game.
Was fantastic.
John,
get out of the podcast.
I don't need this. I don't need this.
Just stirring that pot.
You didn't stir the pot. You stuck your whole foot in it.
Yeah. So I started it last night, and I got to page 80. And there's just it's so good. It's so good. It's such a good reminder. Like it's been a while since I've read it, just to be like, oh, he's 6. And I was doing a camp last week too with children. I was like, these are 6-year-olds. These are babies. But Ender's Game was and is one of my favorite books.
It really is. The fact of how mature he was at 6 is terrifying.
Yeah. Well, even when they just like how they raised the kids anyway and like what they force them to do and put up with. I think everyone should read it. I think it's phenomenal. I have the whole series now and I plan on reading through all of them. I've only ever done Ender's Game.
The Speaker of the Dead one gets weird.
I've heard quite a few of them get weird, but Ender's Shadow is what I want to do next. And then.
Oh, so you're going with the. Okay.
I'm going to do all of them. I bought a bunch because they were at half price books and I went, I'll own these. Let's go.
Yeah. I've read let's see, what are the books in the series? So I've read, it's Xenocide that gets weird, or Children of the Mind. So I've read.
Yeah, Speaker for the Dead is the second one.
Speaker of the Dead was good. Xenocide was good. Children of the Mind was weird as all get out.
I think I only got up to Shadow of the Hedgehog. I think those are the ones I bought. And I see that they keep going.
Those are all spin-off series?
Mm.
So
I know Ender Shadow is Bean's story.
Yes. Shadow of the Hedgehog follows Peter.
Oh. I feel like someone told me that and I was like, I want to read that.
Yeah. So, but Ender's Game, Speaker for the Dead, Xenocide, Children of the Mind all follow Ender.
So then
Children of the Mind's kind of...
It's like Shadow Pup. Is there a Valentine book?
Maybe.
Because she's one of my favorites. So I have the cover of Ender's Game tattooed on my shoulder here.
Yes.
This is one of my favorites. And the other side I want to have... I haven't decided how I want to do it, but I want to put essentially like the busts of the two philosophers that Peter and Valentine pretend to be, and then like letters across.
Yeah.
Because some of those chapters are my favorite chapters in the books. And also why I hate the movie. Yes. Among 1,700 other reasons.
I hate the movie because they made him like 12, which is still a baby, but it does take away some of the potency of, 6.
Yeah. Especially like you read the beginning and especially having read it and you know what they like make them do, to read the beginning and be like, oh, he got to keep it a year longer because they're deciding at 5 whether or not they want these children and whether they're predisposed to be great war heroes. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I think honestly, John, I think you would enjoy it.
Probably.
The whole series, I think you would enjoy.
There's a few series like that out there. Like I got the box set for the Maze Runner series. I haven't read a single one. I want to, but I haven't.
Because it's just so good. It makes such good points.
Each time you read it, something else is going to hit you.
Honestly, you can read it without reading any of the rest of the series, and it's still a phenomenal book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how the first time I read this book, I read it in one day. I just sat in a coffee shop.
That's a beefy book.
It is, but it was fast. It's a thick book, but it's not, even though it's covering heavy topics, it's not like hard to read.
That's true.
Anyway, that was my reread.
So it's my turn again.
Are we going to keep going?
Why not?
I only brought one.
That's fine. You can discuss or listen to us discuss. Didn't you say that you reread Jane Eyre?
I do reread Jane Eyre a lot. I brought one.
I don't know. My next one's an entire series. So, I mean, but it's the Space Team series.
I don't know what Space Team is.
I listened to the first one of that one, and it was a little too crude for me.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
It's a lot like A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, except
it's like if, what's his name? John dies at the end. What's the author's name?
David Wong.
David Wong.
Jason Pargan.
It's like if David Wong wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, so like my favorite then. Like I would just eat this book up, huh?
Oh yeah. Like it was entertaining. The first one was entertaining, but it was a bit much for me. Like
And the second book has the villain who has the name that we can't say on the show.
No, we cannot say the name. Because
well, on that note, it's been fun.
Family friendly.
I also know a book series that Celeste rereads a bit.
Oh yeah. I reread the Fred the Vampire Accountant series often. I re-listen to it because it's an audiobook series. I've also
it's also a physical book series, depending on how you get it.
I enjoyed it mostly as an audiobook. Like, I cannot
It's because Kirby Hayborn just has the voice for it.
He does. He narrated the book that Drew Hayes wrote called Underqualified Advice. And I got that one, and I'm listening to it little along because it's more like a bunch of blog posts put together. So there's like a chapter of nonsense, and then there's a chapter of advice as a writer, and then there's a chapter of nonsense. And so it's like a couple short stories mixed in with some advice for anyone who's looking to be a professional writer. I am not looking to be a professional writer. I just enjoy Drew Hayes' writing style, and I enjoy Kirby Hayborn.
Fair.
So
you know what would be fun to do on the podcast? This is just me spitballing ideas that I could put in the Discord, but here we are. I feel like it'd be fun to read the entire Chronicles of Honor series and review them all.
That would be a good one.
Young.
That would be a good one for one of like our anniversary episode when we hit 2 years.
I would love to go through them all again, and they're small, so you can get through them.
I have the box set on audiobook, so
I do listen. The BBC like radio drama of these books was also my childhood. I listened to it probably like 100 times. Like I fell asleep listening to it. I can still hear these children's voices in my head.
Well, also the BBC recordings are also abridged versions of the books. So
they're from what they are, they're very good. They're not the full books, but they're still very good. I do highly recommend listening to them just from there. Just the production is very
I've not listened to it, but I want to say that Josiah was like, "Here, I have this."
I can guarantee that Josiah, much like me, listened to it many times as a child. It was right up there with Adventures in Odyssey, right?
So I've just discovered that Kirby Hayborn narrated most of the Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children books. So they're now all going on my wish list because I really love that man's voice. So, yeah, I like Kirby Hayborn, not Kirby. I do like Kirby Hayborn's voice. I like Drew Hayes' style of writing. So the Fred the Vampire books are, and we talked about this when we reviewed it, they are very much a comfort book because they're calming. There's things that happen, especially in later books. There are higher stakes, but they are like, you know that ultimately it's going to be okay. Although one of them, I want to say it was book 5, whichever one was Out of House and Home. Started out, I was listening to it while I was at home, and I had a moment because one of my favorite characters was having an issue, and I was like, I'm not okay with this character dying. Like, I was not prepared for this character to die. So I'm not okay with this. And Dallas is like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, I am not listening. I'm listening to what's supposed to be a comforting book. It's not.
You are an emotional reader because Dallas had that conversation with you about like Shadow of the Gods podcast. As well.
It's like she's yelling again. Oh no.
Squid hates everything. I'm yelling.
I'm yelling, but it's not because it has affected me so deeply. It's just me being angry.
Another series that I like to reread, even though Squid makes me feel like I'm a garbage person for it, is the 4-book series by Peter Clines. I don't remember what they call the series, but it starts with 14, and we know Squid's delight in the book 14.
Just had a rampage about that the other day.
Oh, did you know?
Like it just came back up, and I was like, "Gotta talk about this."
With who?
Yeah,
that is a good question. I don't remember. I was on my soapbox. Here we go.
That's funny. Yeah, it was. I think I was just talking about 14 with somebody, with my dad, because I think my dad would like that book.
Probably wasn't the same kind of conversation.
No.
I get the feeling, Celeste, that me and your dad like a lot of the same things.
Yes. My dad likes a lot of different types of books. He has his whole closet, instead of clothes, is his to be read list. Like, he just has a stack of them. And so he reads everything from Star Trek novels to Star Wars novels to he reads nonfiction uplifting books. He reads biographies. Huh?
Is it being uplifted?
I have the same problem.
Weird.
He reads fiction books. He reads young adult books. Like, legitimately, the majority of the books that I have read in recent years are books that have been because of things that he's gotten me into. The Eye of the World book that I read, the Wheel of Time series, I read the first one. Haven't gotten into the second one yet because you have to be ready to dive into that fantasy world. I did get angry at the show, though.
I think a lot of people who were into that series got angry with the show.
Because they changed things that didn't need to be changed. But that's another conversation. So he actually gave me that series. He got me into the Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of my geekiness comes from my dad. And so I'm looking at my bookshelf that's across the way and I'm going, yeah, there's a series over there that he gave me that's about dragons, written by a Christian author, which I'm going to be rereading. I don't think I have reread it, but I'm going to be. I have all the Sherlock Holmes books. I have multiple books of the Wheel of Time series. A couple different Stephen King books that he's given me because he knows where I like to be with my scary stuff. Like, I like intense, creepy stuff, but I don't like things that make me want to punch them. So
good.
So Bobby gets the award for the OG geek.
Yes,
the first one ever.
Probably. He legitimately went. I took him to see the new Star Trek movie, and when we got there, he goes, "Oh man, I should have worn my emblem." And I went, "Your what?" And he has a pin that's the badge for Star Trek. And I'm like, okay.
I know so many people that have full outfits.
He would have a full outfit if he went to cons, but, money, bills. My brother. So yeah, he's a fun guy. I like him. For multiple reasons.
Just his book taste. That's it.
And movie taste, most of the time. I have reread in the past the Nancy Drew series because I had all of them up until it was probably 20, and then they got ruined. I'd put them in a storage room that got rained on, and nobody realized the rain got inside. So Dallas is slowly rebuying me those books.
That's a sad day. This is actually the second podcast I've been on in a row where Nancy Drew has come up.
I love the original Nancy Drew. There was a show for the CW, and I was so hyped for it. And Dallas watched it with me, and I was disappointed.
I've come to a point in my life where any kind of TV or movie adaptations of books, I've come to expect to be disappointed by them. I
was truly hoping to not be disappointed because most of the time my issue is they leave things out. And so I was like, this is a series. It shouldn't be that bad because they have 20-something episodes. But it wasn't that they left things out in this one. It was that they put things in that did not need to be there.
But no, because I was thinking about that when I was rereading Shadow of the Gods again this last week. And I was like, man, I would love to see a movie version of this. Then I thought about it. I'm like, no, I wouldn't. because they would either leave stuff out or they would try to put cram some kind of an agenda into it instead of just trying to tell a good story. And it's just like, or they wouldn't fade to black on one of the two amorous scenes that are in the book where they fade to black.
Yeah. I have hopes for the Netflix Narnia series. But I'm not.
Also the Percy Jackson series.
I'm not super hopeful.
I'm
super hopeful about the Percy Jackson series because Rick Riordan is involved with it.
I've heard good things so far.
Yeah, if there are changes that are made, he is okay with it. But I've been hurt before.
We've all been burned.
I'm not hopeful, but I legitimately need whoever in Japan is in charge of like doing adaptations from manga to animes or from manga and animes to live action. I need them to come to the States and be like, look, this is how it's done. Because while I don't
they also kind of have a storyboard to work off of.
Well, that's fair. But sometimes it's even like just no art that has been done. And it's phenomenal because I don't know, maybe it's the different approach to storytelling that they're like, yes, this is a thing. So I don't know.
They get it wrong sometimes too.
Oh, that's fair.
That's right. Well, this was fun.
Woohoo!
Happy summer. I'm gonna drink some ice cold water now because I'm toasty.
What are y'all reading? Let us know. Join the Discord. Join our group on Goodreads.
I really am gonna go drink some water now, so.
Okay, guys. Well, this has been We Read Allegedly.
We allegedly read some things.
Allegedly. We reread some things.
I can't leave.
Okay, bye.
No.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
We Read Allegedly is part of the Devoted Geeks Network, devoted to letting you know that you're loved. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please like, rate, and subscribe, as it really helps get the word out to other people. You can always join our discussions on Goodreads, where we talk about our upcoming books, and you can join us at the first Friday of every month as we discuss our new read. Next month, for real, we'll be reading Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCain. We'll see you then. Pardon me, I walked into my room and found out that the cats had vomited everywhere.
Oh.
So that was fun.